Hi everyone and welcome to Lina Knits. This is episode 15 and welcome. I'm really glad you're here, whether you're new or returning. And I'm going to say this right now before I forget. Thank you so much for all the kind messages that you sent me or posted on the boards or anywhere after my last podcast. I know I didn't reply to most of those messages, but they really touched me, and I've been reading them when I've been feeling bad. And not going to turn this into my health podcast, but just want to let you guys know that that I really haven't been that much better. But I guess that's expected. There is no quick fix for what I have. So, working on that and doing some knitting in the meanwhile. Not as much as you'd probably expect after the long break I had. So it's been a long time. I don't even know how many weeks since I last podcasted. And it's gotten to the point where it just sort of felt like it's been too long. I don't know what to do, what to say, how to do it. So to sort of combat that, I decided to try to do this a bit differently this time. So I'm just gonna do this in segments, so not film everything in one sitting. So this is going to be a bit choppy and a bit different than what it usually is, but I hope you still like it, and I hope this works because I really do miss talking to you and miss connecting with you. So on to the knitting. I'm wearing, it's actually too hot for this, but I just wanted to wear this to show you how it fits. This is the cropped sweater that I did from the Finnish book Kerroksia, which I was not really happy with the pattern, the way it was written in the book. But I do really like the sweater that it resulted in, especially after the blocking. I'm just gonna try sitting up. No, it's not working. So I'm wearing this over a dress right now, so it's just above my hips, and the sleeves are a bit short. And sorry for the camera blowing it all out. I had the lights adjusted to this view. And the yarn was Posh Yarn's Gretchen DK, so it's sort of silk wool mix, and I really do love it. So I thought that the first thing I would do is I haven't spoken in English for quite a while. The first thing that I will show you is some of the finished objects, actually two, that you have seen previously as works in progress. So I thought you would be interested in seeing how they turned out. The first one is my Rumble sweater. And so this is from the Pom Pom magazine. And now I forgot which issue it is. But this is the Hedgehog Merino Aran in the teacup colorway, and it was seconds. But I don't really know what the difference is to the sort of regular teacup. And I had 4 skeins of that, and I think I would have needed a 5th because I used an almost whole skein of, well, not a whole, but like 70 grams, I think, of Malabrigo Merino worsted, and this is the stone blue colorway. So that's what I used on the back and then on the neck edging. I actually really like knitting this, even though it was mostly purling. I love the color, or the yarn, the colorway. And the pattern itself was, I think, quite great, quite good, yeah. Not really happy with how the neck edging turned out. but I don't really know how to fix that. I might try sort of a crochet finish here. What I mean is these where the colors change, where you picked up the stitches for the neckband. There's just some strange gaps here, and I don't know how I managed to pick them up that way without noticing. And the other thing is the pattern says to seam them up. So you have, so this is knit in 2 pieces. So you have the underarm and the side seam, and then the shoulder and top sleeve seam. So it says to seam them up and then block. And I did think about it while I was seaming, but I just trusted the pattern. But what happened when I blocked it is that the seaming, of course, wasn't as stretchy as the fabric elsewhere. So the sleeves are not, they don't have sort of a straight edge. So you can see it's sort of curved. So this part is very stretchy, but where I've seamed it, it's not. I used the mattress seam or mattress stitch to seam it. So I don't know if that was my mistake, or if I should have just blocked the pieces and then seamed it. So I don't know. Might do some fiddling with this with the neckband, and might even unpick the seams or wet the sleeves again and block it so that they're more straight. But I have to, I finished this too late in the year for me to wear it. But I might have to wear it when I'm outside or something, just to see how I like the sleeves. But yeah, I would say if you like the pattern, do knit it, but pay attention to the neckline and block it before you seam it. The other finished object that I have is finally my Christmas Eve cast-on socks. I did finish this, I think, early. Oh, I should have put them on blockers. I'm actually going to do that, since it's going to be choppy anyway. Hi, so I'm back. Sorry about that. Obviously forgotten how to do this. So yeah, Little Bobbin's Christmas Eve cast-on socks. I know you've heard it a million times, but the pattern is Avia. I wish the camera would stop blowing the colors out. Avia by Rachel Coopy, and the yarn was Life in the Long Grass. Sort of custom colorway for this pattern. It was called Lilac Breasted Roller. Doesn't sound right, but yeah. So I do really love these socks now that they're finished. I didn't love knitting them. Something about the cables, I don't know. But I do love, they're just too blown out right now. Let me see if I can. Yeah, I do love the pattern, and I do love the yarn, and I kind of surprised myself with how much I like the well, I guess because it's speckled, but this really colorful yarn with the sort of highly patterned socks. I've always thought that yarn like this would be better in vanilla socks, but I guess Rachel and Life in the Long Grass really know what they're doing, because I do think these turned out awesome. And the fit is perfect. I know I've said before that I have had problems, and most of my socks do have the problem of not fitting my sort of toe section well. But I think the key is, now that I've thought about this, since these do fit well, is that I do need to sort of stop a bit earlier than what the pattern says, and then really these ones have they decrease down quite a bit. I'm sorry you couldn't even see that. So when you do the Kitchener stitch, you really don't have that many stitches left, so that it gets quite narrow at the top. But yeah, so managed to finish two of those projects that you have been seeing as whips on the podcast before. And I think I do have a few other finished objects, but nothing that spectacular. I have actually started quite a few things and then not finished them yet. And I'll talk about some of the works in progress then at a later time. I'm hoping to do this in 2 or 3 days. Hi, it's now a few days later than what you just saw, and today I thought I'd share 2 of my new whips that I've been working on quite actively lately. They're both by Stephen West, I just realized, and the first one that I'm going to show you is from his newest collection, the brioche bundle or something like that, bundled in brioche, and it's the brioche chevron cowl. And this is actually the first time that I'm knitting in brioche, and well, as you can see that, I've got the hang of it. I know how to do brioche. I'm not sure if this one was particularly the wisest one to start with, though I've met quite a lot of people that have podcasted about brioche, that it's once you start doing it, it's not that difficult. It's just another stitch, really. So it's knitting, and so you just follow the instructions like you do with any knitting or the pattern. That said, my brioche is definitely not perfect. See this edge? It is mostly looking quite nice. There is the occasional yarn jump where the brown color sort of shows up, but the other side, I just have no idea how to get it to look that neat. It looks like this. So you can see that I've tried different sort of things with my yarns. Yeah, that's sort of odd. Now I realize it's flipping the image. That's strange. Well, anyway, this is where I am. So you can see that I finally learned how not to do these big gaps, but it's still the blue thread here is showing up differently than on the other side. So here it's sort of like every other row, and here it is every row. So yeah, no idea what's going on there. And let me see. As you can see here, there, something really odd happened. I think I miscounted. So that looks a bit odd, and I noticed it like a row or 2 below where I am now, and I'm too chicken to frog brioche. I would have had no idea how to pick up the stitches if I pulled my needle out and just went back a few rows. Also dropping stitches and picking them back up. So that's what it looks like now, and I'm hoping I won't be making any more mistakes, so that once this is ready, it'll be not that noticeable, I hope. So this is going to be a very long strip that then you sort of seam together with the cast on edge, and then it'll, I think, double up around your neck. So this will be very warm, since this is DK wet yarn in brioche, so it's very squishy and thick, and then it will be long, so it'll be doubled in length and I guess in width. And one more thing I don't like about brioche, it is so slow. You would have thought knitting a cowl in DK wouldn't take that long. Well, it does. It does in brioche. And the yarns that I'm using, these ones are caked up. I think I've knit about 1/3 of these or half of these. The pattern calls for one sort of neutral and then I think 6 different accent colors, but I'm just going to do two colors each. What each? 2 colors, yeah. Since I had 2 skeins of both. The blue one that I'm using is from Tricoterie. Lovely yarn by Malin. So this is their DK Merino Superwash, and the yarn color is called Bad Wolf, so from Doctor Who. And I really do love this TARDIS color, and Bad Wolf, one of my favorite things about the show. 225 meters, 247 yards in the 100 grams skein. And you can see that. So yeah, really loving this. This is really soft even though it's superwash. So I'm really liking that. And then the other one, where I have seemingly lost both tags. This is by Bohemia Fibers. It's their Bohemian DK base. And the color is, I think, let's say a few years or a year old. It's called The Lookout. And I don't think it's part of the range anymore, but I'm sure Amy will dye it up if you ask her. It is based on, this is what it looks like caked up. So all the colors really nicely blend. Yeah, The Lookout, yeah, based on The Walking Dead, and Amy does these monthly colors for The Walking Dead for the months that the show is going on. So sort of custom colors, again based on photos, her magic thing. So yeah, I think that was a year ago. So I got 2 of those. So yeah, I thought they went nicely together, sort of a solid or semi-solid blue and then a more variegated neutral that when knit up really doesn't even look that variegated, just a lovely nice wavy chanting. The one thing is that on the skein and even on the cakes you don't really see it, but the greenish blue color occasionally is really close to the blue, the Bad Wolf blue. But yeah, so you can wear this either way around. So not a huge brioche fan based on this experience, and well, I do love the fabric, the finished object, so if there's something completely awesome done in brioche, yeah, I will probably knit it, but I don't need to have a brioche project on the needles that often, to be honest. But yeah, really looking forward to having this done, and I'm really glad that I started it this early, so I don't have the sort of need to finish now. Oh, it's again really super windy outside. Yeah, so I have the whole summer and early fall to finish that, so I need it by October or November, maybe even December, before it's cold enough to actually wear it. And the other Stephen West shawl that I started is something you'll all recognize immediately because it's been around. This is an older one, but it's had a sort of a new boom thanks to Eric. So it's the Exploration Station that I just sort of noticed I'd cast on. It's been on my queue for ages, and I'm stuck on the brioche part. Yeah. So I went with very pastel-y theme for this one. All the yarns caked up and I don't have the tags, so I'm just gonna run them by you verbally. So the gray one that I'm using as my color A, this one that goes between all the other colors, that's from Eating Cottage Yarns, and these are all fingering weight. The pink Tweedy Pink is from Woolbarn, and the blue one is from Lanitum Ex Machina, and the green one is Life in the Long Grass. And this color, I remember, it's Breeze, and it's on their sock base, which I think is actually really, really soft. No, it's not. It's the non-nylon sock base. Yeah. So these two, the pink Woolbarn and the Life in the Long Grass one, you have seen as a stash acquisition here. But the Eden Cottage yarn and the Lanitum ones are older, and this Lanitum again is from their club, so the color is no longer available. All the colors are listed, or all the yarns are listed on my project page, so if you want to take a look, you can go and look from there. But what I want to talk about more is this, and I'll be back to do that in just a second. Okay, so the thing I wanted to talk about was colors and how people perceive them. Okay, it sounded fancier than what I mean. But I had a question about the Breeze on this one. Someone asked me if it is a green or a blue color. And that is something that I found quite difficult to answer, because I started thinking about how people view different colors differently. So if you have something very basic like this Bad Wolf, this is definitely a blue. And then the truest green that I could find were these two, sort of a light and a darker green. People would say these are green. But then there are sort of colors where things aren't as pure. I'm sure there are some technical terms, and you can watch one of the dye blogs or podcasts for that. But yeah, so having someone ask me if a color is a true green, or if a color is green or blue, to me this is green. This is mint green. I brought white background paper just to sort of try to focus it more. So to me, oh, now you see my horrible nails. To me, this is a mint green. I would definitely say this is green and not blue. It's showing up slightly paler on the screen right now, but I'm trying to edit it to what I actually see. So, and when having it here next to an actual blue, in my mind, this is definitely a green one. But that said, how you view colors is dependent on the light in which you view it. So this might look blue on your monitor because it has different settings than what mine does. And also your mind sort of has different opinions on whether something is blue or green when it's in the shady area. So since this is a very cool green, I can understand why some people would say that this is a bluish color. So I remember having very interesting conversations with my friends about chartreuse. I think that's how you pronounce it, the sort of yellowy green. And to me, that color is green, but some of the others said it's definitely yellow. So it's a way of seeing the world, I guess. Even if when we were in the exact same location, same lighting, face to face, talking about whether this color is green or yellow, and there were two opinions. So it's not just the lighting in which you're viewing it. But yeah, so here's Breeze next to blue, and then next to a green. So to me, it would go in the same camp with these. But I can totally understand why someone would call it blue. And the person asking that asked me that question because in my photograph on Ravelry, she said the skein looked green to her, but on other photos of the same yarn she'd seen, they looked blue. So of course, when photographing yarn, the lighting, the camera, and then what you do with the photo when you upload it onto Ravelry or wherever you store your photos, and then again your monitor, they all affect the way in which you view colors. So why did I bring this up? It's just I think I would be curious in hearing about how you view colors and how you would sort of explain colors to someone else that isn't able to see the actual object in their hand. And that's actually something that a lot of us face nowadays, a lot of us knitters, since we buy a lot of yarn. Well, I do, and I think most of knitters buy a lot of yarn online, especially if you want to use all those lovely indie dyers. Then pretty much all you have is online shops, and then you really have to rely on just the photographs you see, and that's a really, most of the time I've been happy with what I've gotten. They've been what I've expected them to be or better, but there have been a few cases where the yarn, once I've received it, just didn't look like what I anticipated. And what I try to do not to be disappointed when buying yarn online, because that's obviously what I do quite a lot, is exactly what the person who asked me about the breed skein did, is look at a lot of pictures online on Ravelry, for me mostly, of that yarn, not just what the dyer has taken a photograph of, but stash photos, and more importantly, I think even the finished object photos. Since I don't really care how gorgeous the skein looks if I don't like the way it looks like knitted up. That's what I do, especially for the more variegated colors. But I also think that once you knit the skein up into a shawl or a cardigan or something that has a larger surface than a skein of yarn, it's easier to get the color more correct than on a skein, even if it is in a variegated one. But that's me. And if that's not available, if there are sort of one-of-a-kind colors that no one has had previously, and even, or if the dyer is really a small scale business, then I find that the colorways can be really different from, a month ago to today, even if the colorway name is the same and the dyes used in to do that are the same. I mean, the recipe that they use to dye it is the same. So then what I do is I take advantage of having multiple devices that can go online, and I look at the shop photos on my laptop and on my iPad, sometimes even my phone. And if I like it on all the devices that I look at it with, then I feel safe enough to buy it. So even though judged by the size of my stash, it would seem that I'm a quite impulsive buyer. No, I wouldn't say that. I do think about my purchases quite a lot. And one thing that I do also do is that when I actually go to a yarn store that carries the brands that I like to use, or if I see the yarn somewhere else, if there's a colorway that I really like, I write it down. So I have this list of colorways that I've seen in person that I like, so that if I'm thinking of wanting to knit a gray shawl, I can look at from my notes what grays did I like from this and this dyer, for example. So those are the ways I try to make good and wise purchases from the internet. Those are my tips. If you have any tips, I would love to hear them, because this is something that a modern knitter has to deal with. Anyway, I think I've talked about this long enough. Yeah, actually, I think that is everything that I wanted to talk about in this podcast. Since I'm doing this sort of bit by bit, I've started making even more notes on sort of things I want to mention, and so I could go on, but I'll save those for other podcasts. And at the end of this, I'll add a bit of what spring is like here in Helsinki, Finland, since I took a lovely walk the other day when it was really nice, not windy, or particularly windy, sunny day here. So I went out to see what the world looks like at the end of April here in Helsinki. So I hope you enjoyed that. I'll see you hopefully soon.